And welcome to the Leeds That podcast. My name is Rocco, and tonight I'm joined by Isaac Johnson. Hi, Isaac.
Hi Rocco, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, not so bad after Leeds' last few results.
Yeah, well, been a fraught time for you. You've spoilt in the Premier League. No midweek matches normally, but then, bam,
Yeah,
three in a week. Have you recovered?
yeah, just about as we were as we were saying off camera, like there was multiple nights in a row where I didn't get to bed until 2 a.m. But it's all worth it. It's all worth it. So yeah, I've just about recovered now. I had a few days off to recover. So
Nice.
yeah.
I take it wasn't just adrenaline then. It was actual work. Not like because a lot of Leeds fans will have been up to till 2 a.m. just
Yeah,
rewatching highlights and scrolling through Twitter, I imagine.
it's a bit of both, to be honest. I mean, I can never sleep well after a match anyway because of all the adrenaline and everything that's going on. But yeah, just there's a lot to do as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Good. Well, it's been a little while since we last spoke. I think it was the first international break, and everything was quite smooth at that point. People were impressed with what Farke was doing, and then we've had a complete, two turnarounds really. We've had Farke out brigade, really dominating the airwaves and what have you. But then he's starting to turn it around again. So it's been a bit of a roller coaster. How have you seen it all? Obviously Farke always talks about the emotional fan base that we have. And you sort of being a step back from that, how have you seen things? Do you think people have been overreacting in these over the bad run of results that we had?
No, I don't think they've been overreacting. I think before the last three fixtures, Daniel Farke's position was very much under threat. I think that's no secret. And you know, at the end of the day, Leeds were not performing nowhere near the levels required. Well, especially against Nottingham Forest away. Then you had Burnley away before that as well, and Brighton. Those three away games were just nowhere near where Leeds should have been. And so, four games on the trot, losing. Of course, you're going to be under your job's got to be under threat. So I don't think it's an overreaction. But I don't I don't think anyone saw these last three games going the way they did, or the last two and a half games, shall we say,
Yeah, yeah,
going the way they did. And you've got to give Daniel Farke a lot of credit for that, which I'm sure we'll get onto. But in terms of the sort of the fan reaction, I think there's obviously online there's certain things that are just sort of one way or the other, and it's quite extremism for sometimes. But I think in the main, Leeds fans are quite knowledgeable. They're quite realistic. Yes, they're emotional, but they're also not silly either. And so, yeah, no, it's definitely been a roller coaster, hasn't it?
Have you noticed any changes in Farke? I mean, to be honest, I've not actually kept up with most of the pressers, but some of the quotes that he has come out with have surprised me. I don't know if he is feeling the pressure at all, or just defending himself a bit more emphatically. But yeah, certain things he's said in terms of, like, I think he came out a few weeks ago and he said, like, oh, we need, what did he say? Like, we need four more wins and a few draws, or something along those lines. And I don't
Yeah.
know. What have you sensed a change in him at all?
Um, the only time I have, and it was noticeable, to be fair, was after the Manchester City game. It was a bit more spiky than he usually is, and I get it. At the end of the day, you're speaking to journalists who are analysing your job, and your job's under threat, and they're probably going to write about that, and they have written about it. So I do get that. Um, at the same time as well, I think a little bit of it in hindsight was the fact that the fans had been for ages saying, go three at the back, go three at the back. And when he did go three at the back, it worked. And so I don't know whether it was a bit of a deflection to say, it's not, because he used certain lines such as, well, it's not that easy, otherwise anyone could be a Premier League manager, and things like this.
Yeah.
Which at the time, you took it's been a bit spiky, but I think actually, I think it was just a bit of a ploy to um, move people off the scent, I think. But otherwise, he has been pretty much the same, to be honest. I think, after the Chelsea win, obviously, but also after the Liverpool draw as well, you can sense, you can sense the relief, natural relief that any manager would have after a good result like
Yeah.
that. But yeah, in terms of the sort of the number of wins, it's interesting because I was told at the start of the season it was about 10 wins they needed. It's not 30 points, but it's 10 wins plus everything else we can get, and obviously moving towards that 1 point per game aim. And now it's sort of switched to 9, which is interesting. I don't know why that is. I don't know. Is it because it's a bit closer this year? Is it because the table's crunched up? Is it because 10 wasn't a set guide? Maybe it's just a rough guide. Um, you know, I don't know, but yeah, that was interesting to know. I think he said at the time, because they had 3 wins at the time. I think he said we need 6 more wins and a couple more draws or a few more draws. And
Yeah.
we were analysing afterwards, and we were thinking, probably leaving yourself a little bit short saying that.
Yeah.
So if it was 10 wins and so many draws, then I think that's better, because no team has been relegated with 11 wins, and
Okay.
very few. I think only one from memory has only been relegated with 10 wins.
Yeah.
So there's a clear barometer there.
Yeah. It's tough, isn't it, though? Because I feel like this season the points that you need will be a bit higher than it has been at least. I mean, in recent seasons, to be fair, you've needed a very low, like 33 points would probably have been enough some
Well,
seasons.
yeah, you have to finish above 18th place, but
Yeah.
obviously it's not 18th place you want to get. It's 17th, and that's the gap
Yeah.
you have to look at.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think it could. I actually think it could actually. You could have less points to stay up because it's more compact
Yeah.
down at the bottom, because teams are taking points off each other. But we're not even halfway through the season yet, so still a lot of buts and maybes to go.
There is, yeah. There's teams to be got at, which is good. Fulham, Brentford as well. That's going to be a massive game, a chance for us to kick on. But first, let's talk about the last couple of home games at Elland Road, because yeah, that's been I think a welcome to the Premier League for you as well, Isaac. Those 2 nights, yeah, absolutely phenomenal. How did you find it?
Unbelievable. I mean, I think most viewers now and listeners now know my Liverpool ties, so that was a bit of a strange game for me, and we can move on to what happened there and also after the match as well, a bit later. But yeah, the atmosphere for both games was, well, for the Chelsea game it was terrific throughout, and as soon as Leeds got a goal back against Liverpool, it was just raucous. It was unbelievable. When I forgot where it was now. I think it was after Leeds got the first back against Liverpool, and they had the first attack afterwards. The roar from the crowd, it was deafening. It was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just decibel levels were crazy. Um, I, how are you supposed to, like? I don't know. You must have some bottle and some nerve as an opposition player to try and combat that. Although in the end Liverpool didn't. But throughout the crowd was just tremendous, especially against Chelsea, because every tackle you just sense something in the air, because it's like a midweek night game under the lights at Elland Road. An old foe coming to town who haven't come to town in a long while, and yeah, every tackle, especially in the first 10 minutes, every clearance, everything like that, the crowd were on their feet applauding. It was just absolutely electric, yeah, in both games.
Yeah. That's the thing about English atmospheres as well, and I know obviously it's getting a bit more sterile in the top flight, but like the reaction to match incidents, tackles, abroad, it's not really normal. They're just sort of, there's like a din in the background, the ultras are singing away, but they're not
Yeah.
really engaged with the match as much. And I feel like a lot of the foreign players, like Chelsea's young foreigners, for example, I bet they were taken by surprise, taken aback by what they found at Elland Road, and yeah, they clearly didn't react well. But how much of it would you put down to the formation? Obviously, like all the basics that Leeds did right, they've pretty much been doing it all season at home. The Villa game was, a very close call against a top side. But then I feel like the formation just gave us that extra edge. Did you really find that noticeable yourself?
Yeah, definitely in the Chelsea game, 100%, and for the first half Liverpool as well. Um, the first half against Chelsea was the best I've seen Leeds play, full stop, since I've started my role in that was it's near come up to nearly a year now. They just didn't put a foot wrong. Just did not put a foot wrong in the first half against Chelsea, and they fully deserved that 2-goal lead at full time. And what was really noticeable was that balls that would normally dissect the defence, there was always someone there to sweep up afterwards, and Leeds looked much more stable with that at the back, much more stable. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Lucas Mecha up top as a duo, terrific. They fed off each other brilliantly. And yeah, the midfielders did their job as well. The wing backs, we all know their quality. And it was just this system. Well, put it this way: Daniel Farke now has 2 systems he can use. I'm not saying the 3-5-2 is bulletproof. It was never bulletproof, even in the first half against Chelsea, in the sense of there were a few teething problems. They didn't really allow any chances in the first half, but there were just a bit of communication, sort of positional things. So there's definitely, I think that's their strongest starting lineup at the moment. I don't think you can ignore the fact that after half time, Liverpool did cut it apart quite a bit. However, Liverpool are Liverpool, even if they are in a bit of a rut at the moment. They have very much quality players that can do that to any team and any setup anyway. So, in terms of is there any long-term weakness to the 3-5-2? I think that'll probably get found out at Brentford or not really, because it's hard to judge against such quality opposition. But the 3-5-2 is working really well, and I think that has to be for now the base formation going forward. It has to.
Yeah, I think so as well. And you wrote a piece, was it today, about how the new formation could shape the upcoming transfer window?
Yes, yeah. So it's not for definite, but it will. The next few games will play a part, but it is very much possible that if Daniel Farke does stick to the 3-5-2 or the 5-3-2, whichever way you want to say it, that could well influence what happens in January. Because obviously, if you're going to use that system as your main system, you don't need wingers as much. You probably focus a bit more on the midfield. You probably focus a bit more on the strikers. I think the defence is pretty much settled. I can't really see anyone coming in the defence unless there's a big injury. So it definitely could, because if you're playing a 4-3-3, then you need different types of players. And obviously, when James was ruled out for 2 months at least, Farke said at the time, we might have to. That might influence our January plans, that itself, and it still could do. At the end of the day, Lee switched to the 4-3-3 against Liverpool, so the 4-3-3 is definitely not gone. You know what I mean? It's definitely got an important part to play, so I won't rule out a winger, but I think if Farke does play the 3-5-2 in the next few games, then I think Leeds will probably look at strengthening themselves around that formation, really. And it's important to say that they have drawn up targets, and they always constantly evolving targets in every position. So it's not like these next 3 games it's okay, now we'll click into action and try and move. It's not like that. They have got themselves prepared, but it's just about who they prioritise and which positions they prioritise. And given that the PSR situation at the moment is maxed out, then there won't be a mass influx of signings, and there won't be loads of expensive signings as well. But inevitably, if they don't sell anyone in January, then they'll have to sell someone before June the 30th if they do bring someone in for a fee in January. So there's all that to consider. But yeah, there's only 3 games now left of 2025, but those could very much influence what happens in January.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think, it's got to be that number 10 type, doesn't it? Because I think the 3 in midfield, I do think even that looks better in the 3-5-2. I don't know, I can't really put my finger on why, but I just think it works really well. And I think also Farke deserves some credit for the shape of the midfield and the way they buzz around and they seem to interchange. I mean, it says it all that I can't put my finger on. I'm not really sure which one's supposed to be the furthest forward, match by match. One player who really has actually excelled in the last couple of weeks, at least, it was Ampadu. And when we spoke last time, actually, I was a bit surprised when you sort of said that you think he could up his game and do a little bit more. And then I don't know if it's because I was watching him closer, but then he started to lose his form basically. But he's come back with a vengeance, and especially that Chelsea game, he was absolutely excellent. The captain that we need.
Yeah. He is he is vital to the team. Don't get me wrong. Just because he was out of form doesn't mean he's very much needed. Leeds will not look the same without him. I think we should mention as well that he is one yellow card away from suspension as well, and he's got
Yeah.
4 more games to last until sort of the bar rate raises to 10. And he's already survived 3 against Man City, Chelsea, and Liverpool. So he's done really well to not get a yellow card in those games. To be honest, I think the whole midfield has stepped up. To be honest, even Gruev when he came in, he's I thought very quiet, but he fitted in really well, and he did a lot of things right. I know he came off for Tanaka, who eventually scored the equaliser, but I just want to give him a mention really because sometimes he gets overlooked. I think in part that's because they've got they've got more defenders behind them, and so they don't have to worry as much. Still, of course, they'll still worry, and there's still a structure they have to hold, but they won't worry as much about being more creative and going forward. I mean, we've seen Stack, who's basically been the guy who's worked the transition for the last few games, and then Tanaka, even though his shooting at the start of the Chelsea game was abysmal, he came up with a firecracker, and that's fine, and now he's got 2 in 2.
It's so funny because I wasn't at Chelsea. I was flying through the night, so I watched it in the morning, and I saw that Tanaka had scored a great goal in the first half. So every time the ball fell to him, I was thinking, "Oh, this must be it." And then he hits an absolutely horrific shot until he finally got it right and hit the shot of his life. It was brilliant.
Maybe he was just warming up. Who knows? But yeah, I think the best thing you could say really in the last 3 games is the fact that Sean Longstaff's not been there. They've not really missed him. That just says it all really, and the fact as well they've really got 4 senior midfielders there, which is a bit of a tightrope. I know Brendan can come into the midfield, but it's not ideal when he does so. That's another reason why I think they might potentially look at midfield in January, but he'll have to see if Longstaff recovers fine and all that. But anyway, the midfield has the whole team's improved, quite frankly. I mean, I know the jury's still a bit out on Perry, but I think the last game he did pretty well overall.
Yeah, what are you thinking? I'm still a bit worried, and also Biol as well. I think he's coped better in the 3, but he did make some really fundamental mistakes in those three initial games that he had. He was basically costing us a goal a game, and definitely looks more comfortable in a 3, that's for sure.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I asked him that after the Chelsea game. I said, do you feel more confident in the back 3? And he sort of gave a very neutral answer and said, well, it depends what the manager picks and all this. So I think what he didn't want to nail himself down to say, yes, I'm a back 3 guy. Otherwise, it seems as though if it's not a back 3, he comes off. So I understand why he said that. But yeah, he's definitely improved. I think Perry looks a bit more assured with the back 3. Now, I know I listened to your podcast the other day. I know you think he's probably a bit at fault for the second Liverpool goal. I think the issue is more before then, to be honest. I think the sloppy passes and how they were open, Leeds were open before then, was more of a factor, to be honest. And he did pull off a good few saves against Liverpool. Against Chelsea, I thought his distribution was absolutely atrocious. It was so bad. And I asked Farke that in the game, in the press conference afterwards, and I said, look, Perry's had 9 games now. He's had a lot of criticism for his distribution. Is that something you're working on? And long and short of it, he said, yes, that's what we are working on with him. He knows what he needs to improve. But there's also many parts of the game he likes as well. I think they're all in a bit of a. I can't really think of anyone at the moment who's out of form, which says a lot.
One player that we haven't talked about is Joffy, and Dara champions him every single week for coming back. So Playing two up front, I feel like it maybe gives it more of a chance. Do you know the ins and outs of the contracts, or the terms of his loan? Can we recall him in I mean, I assume we can't recall him until January.
Yeah, no. So there is a recall clause in his contract for January. From what I have heard, that's got a limit on it at a certain time. So I don't know the specifics of the date, but for example, and I just want to make clear, this is just an example. It's not necessarily the date. Let's say it's the 10th of January. If Leeds don't recall him before the 10th of January, then he can't be recalled. However, all that said, Leeds have no plans to recall him anyway. They expect him to complete the full season at Hull, which I think is right. He's done fantastically for Hull, and the club are really happy with how he's doing at Hull. They like his temperament, they like his character. Even when he was not used by Farke last season, his temperament, they've all said it was very professional, and he was a very good character. So they are pleased that he's doing well. But I think Farke made clear that he wasn't part of his plans over the summer. He didn't even take on pre-season tour. And usually when Farke makes a decision, he doesn't really go back on it, to be honest. Not really, anyway. So there is a recall clause, but overarching all of that, he's now got an injury. So there's no use for him to come back now anyway, even if Leeds were to recall him. And he's out for, I think it's at least a month, possibly longer. So
that's unlucky for him, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, because he's been doing really well. But what I do know is he's really happy at Hull, and he actually pushed for the move to Hull. I mean, we've got to remember, in the summer, Hull were under transfer restrictions, and I think they still are, and so they're not even allowed to agree a deal, and then agree a obligation to buy clause or anything like that, or even an option to buy clause. They can't do any of that. And Joffy was very much, I want to go to Hull, because he really liked the second half of last season. That was under a different manager as well. So he clearly likes the place. He clearly likes the club. So he's been quite reserved in interviews, but I really would not expect him to get recalled. No. He's doing well in the Championship, but the Premier League's a different beast. That's what I'll
say. And he's got one more year at the end of the season. Is that right?
Yes.
At Leeds?
Yeah. So Leeds did want to initially. They did want to try and sell Joffy. They wanted to try and offload him in the summer for money, in light of all the PSR limits. But they came to a solution that, in the end, it was best for him to join on loan, with a view, because he's still fairly youngish. So his value, even though he'll have one less year in his contract, his value next summer could be higher than it even was this summer, because of his form. And so that would help Leeds a lot. And Hull very, very much want to sign him. They have gone on record saying we want to sign him permanently. I think it's only a matter of time before that happens, unless Leeds get relegated and they might want to keep hold of him. But I don't see him returning this season.
No. So how many players are we going to have to offload if we buy Mohamed Salah?
Oh gosh, wow!
I've done the maths.
Probably the whole squad, maybe.
That must have been some moment when. So I think you mentioned that it was it during Farke's press conference that the news, his outburst broke.
Yeah, that's right. So there's more in my newsletter, which is coming out tomorrow. So if people want to subscribe to that, which is on my Twitter at the moment, you can go and subscribe to that, and I'll give you more detail. But in summary, basically, we were in the Farke press conference, and while that was happening, Salah came out and spoke to the reporters, basically, and said what he said. And to give a bit of context, you've got the press room, you've got the corridor, then you've got a tunnel, the bit that leads into the tunnel, and so it's literally 2 rooms away, 20 feet away, and it was just. So I got told by someone else who was in the press room about it, and we couldn't believe it. We couldn't believe it. We were like, what? Why? Well, not why I said that. I can sort of don't agree with it, but I understand the events that led to it. But also, at the time, you knew it's one of them instances as a journalist where you know that even though you can't share it straight away because there was an embargo on when you could share the quotes, you knew as soon as it went live that would be the main footballing story for the next week.
Yeah.
You just knew it. And for it to happen at Elland Road in the corridors of Elland Road was quite something. But then, like I've said before, you know, I think I said online, I said a week before the Liverpool game, Leeds were supposedly a team in crisis, and now they're putting every other club in crisis with what they're doing. So
Leads that.
it very much leads to that. Yeah, yeah. It was astonishing, really, and even like Leeds, even like Lead people within Leeds as well were shocked by how they're doing that and being allowed to do that as well. So yeah, bizarre.
Incredible. And I find it quite interesting. Obviously, we've had all the discourse about Farke's position, and now, you know, there seems to be a clamour for Slot to go when, you know, they've won the Premier League, you know, literally a few months ago. What do you reckon of that? Like, do you think he is under pressure?
He's definitely under pressure because Liverpool are doing really, really poor. But whether he gets sacked or not, I don't think so. I mean, what I said is if they lost to Liverpool, there would be questions, and I still think, you know, a draw does raise questions, but it doesn't mean I think he actually will get sacked. But I think there comes a lot of scrutiny over him. Now, obviously, if Liverpool tank down the table, then possibly, you know, possibly the hand could be forced. But Liverpool have never sacked a title-winning manager. Now, whether that is actually something that comes into tradition within the club, but that they don't do it, I don't know. I'm not sure. End of the day, he did win the title last season. You can't really put up a better defence than that.
They still look a classy side, don't they? Like, you know, well, they scored 3 goals and they could have scored more. And even then, I thought we coped very well with them. I thought we managed to keep them at bay. Really, classy team. It was good to watch a team like that come to Elland Road, and you know, even Wirtz, who's had such a terrible season, you know, you can just see what a class player he is, just the way he plays, the way he touches the ball.
The player that impressed me most was not Ekitike, actually. He scored 2. It was actually Gravenberg, because the way he found the space, and actually Leeds did well to plug that gap, because initially he was finding space in the midfield and finding a pocket, and Liverpool were able to sort of sustain the attack through that, and they managed to shut it off eventually. So they did well there. But yeah, it was that's why Farke was so apoplectic when the third goal went in, because he changed formation, Tanaka was out of position, and that channel was open then, and then they skipped through and played to Sabozlai. Great finish by Sabozlai, but so yeah.
Well, and then on to Brentford, and like for me, well, it's the biggest match of the season for me, easily.
Really?
Because I think so, because we've built up this momentum now, and you know, we've got a bit of a feel-good factor about us, and you know, if we go there and we lose 2-0, and you know, it's a replica of the Brighton or Forest game, then it's just back to square one, isn't it? And I feel like, you know, everyone's going to be on a massive downer again. So I'm just desperate for us to go there and prove that we can actually do it away from home, as well as with the Elland Road crowd behind us.
Yeah, well, that's definitely a fair point. I do think Farke bought himself time. I do think, you know, unless it's another Nottingham Forest performance or another Burnley performance, then, you know, I think, yeah, they'll have questions again. They do need to get results away from home, and there's no secret about that. It's coming up to 3 months now, isn't it? The last point away from home, and obviously that was the only point away from home, and that was Wolves. You can't go 3 months without getting an away result, you know. And the thing is, Brentford are all right at home. I think a draw is a good result. I know, you know, everyone's riding on a high at the moment. You know, we beat Chelsea, drew with Liverpool, scored 3 past them, scored 8 goals against the last 3 champions of England. You know, why can't we beat Brentford? But it is a different test. These are expected to do a bit more. They will have more possession. It won't be a case of sitting back and trying to counter-attack or doing the transition. Although there will be an element of that because they are away from home. I think it's not the end of the world if they do lose it. I do think they need to put in a better performance than they have been. And to be honest, the second half against City shows that they can do it. So they can do it. It's not like they can't do it. And I do get the sort of notion that, well, we've done it in Man City, and if we put up a stinker against Brentford, then we are, like you say, back to square one. I do get that. But Brentford, in terms of home form, I think they're like 4th in the league at the moment in terms of home form, recent home form, that is. They're also very strong at set pieces, like Leeds are. They're very much a tit for tat side with Leeds in terms of how they set up. So it could be a bit of an attritional one, maybe, potentially. I can always guarantee it won't be pretty on the eye. Why on earth it's 4:30 on a Sunday, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and they play. Yeah, they do play 3 at the back as well, don't they? Which will be interesting. And Palace as well. The game after that. So 2.
And Palace are doing well at the moment.
Yeah.
But then there's no easy games. I know people got fed up with Farke saying, no team away from home is an easy game. But he is right. The probably the exception might be Burnley, because Burnley did play awful, and Wolves as well. Wolves were woeful. But I think everyone else, they are going to put up a bit of a fight. And I think what they can't do is put it go reverse and put in a really poor performance. But I think if they're losing narrowly, I think as long as there's signs that there's still the system that did so well against the last 3 opponents, then I think he might be okay.
Yeah, I don't think they'll sack him, but I see it as an opportunity to sort of change the season. Make
That's true. Yeah,
make us look forward rather than backwards. If we could win, that would be phenomenal. And then
absolutely. If you win, then I wrote a piece earlier this week that said, if Farke wins, then he's completed the revival, so to speak, or to an extent.
Yeah.
With all intents and purposes. Whereas if he loses, then it's not. Faith in Farke has been reinstilled, but it's not fully there yet because of the away performances. And so if he does win it, then it's at the moment his short-term future is definitely safe. His medium-term future is probably safe. Now it's for him, for his personal sort of acumen. It's about extending that medium period as long as he can. Because the season is not even halfway yet.
Yeah.
It's a long way to go.
Yeah. And then we've got another feral night at Elland Road against Palace, and it just makes me laugh that Palace have wanted to move that game to Saturday night. I touch wood, I really hope that it comes to bite them, and they will regret that a lot, because I would much rather play at Elland Road as an opposition team at a sleepy Sunday lunchtime rather than 8 p.m. on a Saturday. I don't know if that comes into their thinking whatsoever. I'm surprised it doesn't. But I think we'll all be looking forward to that and give them a brilliant send-off before Christmas.
Yeah. Well, put it this way: those inside the club are happy that it's been moved to a Saturday. That way. I agree. I also, as well, I mean, selfishly, it helps me and it helps most supporters, I suppose, because it's more time over Christmas then. But I wasn't too. I didn't think it was morally right that they moved it. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I think for fans who have booked tickets, I mean, the fixture's already been changed once, and fans have booked tickets, travel, all that. They might not get refunds. It's a really, expensive time of year, and I don't think it was morally right, but I think it has worked out in Leeds' favour. And also, as well, it was Palace's choice. It's their predicament. I don't see why Leeds should have had to move their game because of that predicament, but they are clearly prioritising the Arsenal League Cup game a few days later versus the Europa League game 2 days beforehand. But what I should say is that Glasner has said yesterday, I think it was, that he will field a totally different 11 to the one that it takes on this Finnish side in the Europa League.
Okay.
But I will caveat all this by saying it very much seems like he will play a B side against the Finnish team. And be strong against Leeds.
Is
But
that an away game as well for them? Are they travelling to Finland? Do you know?
no, it's at home. It's at home.
Is it at home? No, that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah. So, but yeah, absolutely. Another night under the lights, Elland Road lights. I honestly think that is Leeds. That's their biggest weapon this season. And those inside the club even say that as well. They, sort of high ranking sources that I've spoken to have said they are very much aware that the home support will play a massive role in Leeds staying up this season, and they are very aware of that. And at home, Leeds haven't put in a bad performance. Yes, they've lost games, but they haven't really put in a really bad performance, have they? So yeah, bring it on.
Yeah, I think that the Leeds players deserve credit as well for how they have handled it and capitalised on it as well, because it isn't an easy place to play. And there's been times where, the crowd have, they get on their backs, and, like Bournemouth for a period in the first half, it was all getting a bit edgy, and the players have, they've carried the fans at times as well as the other way around. So yeah, it's all good. Long may that continue, and yeah, we'll look forward to Palace, and hopefully we go into that game. I mean, that will be electric if we're going into it off the back of beating Brentford as well.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be really on a roll.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to sort of state as well that in terms of the away form, Leeds will have to pick up a result at some point. Even though I've said what I've said in terms of if a loss, it's not the end of the world. It is important that they do start to get something soon, because yes, home form is terrific, and they can probably beat anyone at home as we've seen. But you're not going to stay up on home form alone. So this away game, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not negating its importance, absolutely. But then, yeah, imagine if they do win that or get a result, and then they come back to Elland Road against Palace, who they'll probably be a strong side, but still, it's take Leeds on at home with you. One quote that will stick with me, I think, for the whole season, is when Enzo Maresca explained why he took Estevao off at half-time after getting a yellow card. He said it was a bit of a case like, welcome to the Premier League, welcome to Leeds. And I was like, yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah, I absolutely love that. I actually quite like Enzo Maresca. He gets a bit of flack, but I think he's always carried himself quite well, even when we beat Leicester in that classic.
He's honest.
Great stuff. Yeah, he is honest. Yeah. Well, thanks, Isaac. It's been great catching up with you. Lovely to see you as always. And I guess the next time we'll speak, hopefully in January, when you're going to be rushed off your feet, reporting on all these transfers.
Yeah, it's very busy in January as well, because obviously there's New Year Day trip to Liverpool.
Yeah.
In fact, there's
and then Man U as well straight after.
Exactly. Then you got the Liverpool game, then you got the Man United game, and then you've got, is it Newcastle? I think away.
Yeah, and then Derby away as well.
And you got the FA Cup game, yeah. So pray for me.
You won't be sleeping.
Yeah. Hopefully I'll get to bed at 1:30 and not 2, maybe.
Great stuff. Well, thanks, Isaac. Take care, and we will see you soon.
Thank you very much.